After a UN report found that some aspects of Australia's asylum seeker policies breach the International Convention on Torture, the Prime Minister responded by saying Australians were sick of being lectured to by the international organisation. Well, now the man who wrote the report, the UN Special Rapporteur on Torture, has hit back, saying he's not lecturing but simply doing his job. Mike Clay reports.
I think Australians are pretty sick of being lectured to. I really think Australians are sick of being lectured to by the United Nations, particularly given that we have stopped the boats.
Well, I'm sorry that he considers what we do lecturing. We don't. We think it's our role. We treat every country the same way and we just try to uphold international standards as we understand them.
I think I'd characterise Australia's relationship with the United Nations as a quite ambivalent one. This certainly isn't the first time that Australia has been on the receiving end of criticism by the United Nations.
Australia was one of the founding members of the United Nations in 1945. We've been on the Security Council 5 times and are the 12th largest contributor to the UN budget.
We tend to engage with the United Nations a bit opportunistically. Last year when MH17 was downed, we engaged with the United Nations in a really energetic, exuberant way.
But there have also been threats to strip the heritage listing from the Great Barrier Reef and accusations of human rights violations in our treatment of asylum seekers.
Australia's policy of offshore processing is leading to a chain of human rights violations, including arbitrary detention and possible torture following return to home countries.
Conservative governments are more ambivalent towards the United Nations than Labor governments.
It would not be in Australia's interests to ratify the Kyoto Protocol.
The obvious example is Iraq in 2003 under Prime Minister Howard. I don't think we are alone or unique in taking a quite instrumental, quite opportunistic approach to the United Nations. Most countries, in fact, do it. They use it and engage with it when it suits them, and they distance themselves from it when it doesn't.
So, is the PM right to say,
I think Australians are pretty sick of being lectured to.
Or do we need to take more notice of UN slapdowns?
These are not hugely damaging or sort of irreparable, they don't cause irreparable damage, but they do reputational damage. And to a country that cares as much about its reputation as a good global citizen as Australia, I think that does count.